get into Azure DevOps portal and see. So we were talking about some fundamentals yesterday about what is Azure DevOps and what we'll learn as part of this course, and how it helps you. So the first step in learning Azure DevOps is creating Azure DevOps projects and then planning activity. And then it goes to the Azure repos, which is a source control management, and then CI/CD pipelines, which is nothing but Azure builds and pipelines. And then of course we will talk about little about Azure test plans as well, but this is nothing to do with DevOps. It is primarily for the test engineers. I mean, the way they use QTP or some other tools, they can use Azure test plans as well for maintaining their test cases and executing the test cases. And finally, it is Azure artifacts. As I told you, as part of this one, we will also be teaching PowerShell and fundamentals of Docker and Kubernetes and ARM templates as well, along with the SonarQube and Selenium test case integration with our Azure pipelines. So with that, let me quickly get into Azure DevOps portal. So for the first couple of sessions, I will log into Azure Cloud. From there, I will go to the Azure DevOps portal. After a couple of sessions, after you get used to this one, then I can directly log into the Azure DevOps portal. So the traditional way to log into Azure Cloud portal is portal.azure.com. This is portal.azure.com is Azure Cloud portal URL. So you need to have a Hotmail account or a Windows Live account in order to connect to your Azure portal. If you are not part of any organization, if you are working for any company, obviously they take subscription from your company, and you will be able to access your cloud portal using your organization. Since this is a demo and I'm not part of any organization, I'm just using my email ID. So once you log into Azure portal, so as we seen yesterday, there will be hundreds of services available, or you can work on in Azure portal. In that, we will be using this Azure DevOps PaaS feature. So let's go and search for it, or you can go to this menu here. So you have to navigate all the way through all the services. So the easiest way is just go and search for it, Azure DevOps. The first one is Azure DevOps. You can see this symbol here. Just open it. And then this is a home page, but this is not a place where you work on Azure DevOps features. Let's go and click on My Azure DevOps Organization. So we'll talk about this. So this is how it looks. So basically, you first need to create an organization to start with your DevOps implementation for any given application. So the organization or projects it is only for the categorization purpose. Example is, let us say you are working for some XYZ company. Okay, you might be having a number of verticals. Let us say finance, insurance, pharma, or healthcare, etc. So everybody might be using your Azure DevOps. So there should be a categorization. That's why you can go ahead and create an organization. So it can be a vertical, it can be a portfolio, it can be your client. So let's go ahead and create an organization. Okay, so I'll say continue. So I'll give an organization name like this. Say this is 7 a.m. bachelor. You can give any name. DevOps 7 a.m. demo. And you can host, so since this is cloud, the data centers of cloud, Azure cloud spread across multiple geographies. So you can select the place where you can host your DevOps, or where you can store your data that you are working on here. So basically people take it, choose the location which is near to their user base. Since this is a demo and this is a DevOps and I'm from India, so I'm just selecting South India. Of course, you can go ahead and select any of other countries as well, like Central US, East Asia. Okay, let's go and click on continue. So it will not make any big difference to you because we are not hosting applications, so there you do not find any performance implications. Okay, so I created an organization. On the left hand side, you see DevOps 7 a.m. demo is my organization name. And now we can go ahead and create a DevOps project. Okay, remember uh, where you are creating a project, a DevOps project, I would say. This is not the project what you think about a .NET or Java. So they're also called .NET project, Java project, but this is nothing related with that one. This is just a container so that I can go ahead and maintain my requirements of my application and code and pipelines and other any artifacts of my application. So this is just a container. You call it as a Azure DevOps project. So I'll just give a name called .NET DevOps Demo 7 a.m. This is my project name, and you can see you have two options, public and private. Private means no one will be able to access your DevOps project until unless you give access to them or you give permission to them. We will see, I mean, how the permissions will be provided, how the ACL can be maintained. Okay, let's go ahead and create this project. Click on create. Okay, so a project is been created now. Okay, so let's see some of the properties of this DevOps project. So I have come to the settings page. So you can come to settings page like this. So one way is you click on this setting symbol. The other way is right now you are in DevOps 7 a.m. demo. You can see on the top right top left corner 7 a.m. demo is your organization name, and .NET DevOps demo 7 a.m. is your project name. So how you can see some properties? Let's go ahead and click on project settings on the left hand side menu on the bottom, and then this is where you can maintain the properties or attributes of your .NET DevOps, your Azure DevOps project. That means you see a lot of features here. You can add teams because if you are working for any application development, you have n number of teams, right? So there will be a application development team, there will be a database development team, there will be a QA engineers. So all these people are different teams that work for any application development. You can maintain them, and then so we will be doing all these things as part of our planning phase. And then you have permissions. This is the place where you can give permissions to your team members. Let us say an administrator should be able to do anything in your Azure DevOps project. Anything means he can create the build definitions, he can create the release definitions, he can remove users, he can add users, he can add projects, etc., etc. All the things he can do. Okay, and then notifications. This is about email notifications, etc., for each and every action that happens in your Azure DevOps project. Okay, and then the service hooks. This is basically, when you are integrating with any other external systems, you will get all those items here. I mean, let us say I integrate my Azure DevOps build pipeline with Selenium, so that will come up here. Okay, and then dashboards. This is a regular dashboard what you see on your home page. Let us say we will be seeing, I mean, this is a static, and this data will be populated from the actions what you do, like how many bills are failed, how many bills are successful, etc. Of course we can customize this dashboard as well, we will see. And then boards is nothing but Azure boards. This is for planning purpose. We will be doing planning, like adding the resources like developers, etc. And again, creating product backlog items and then assigning them to the developers or any team member like that. And then if you are connected to any external GitHub, as I told you, you can maintain code in Azure repos, which is a Git. At the same time, many organizations will be using or would be using external source control management tools. Let us say Git, or it can be a Bitbucket, it can be a Serena Dimensions. There are hundreds of, I would say 20, 30 source control management tools very famous in the industry. And then repos is nothing but your Git repositories where you can maintain or you can administer your repos access and policies, source control management policies, etc. And then we talk about this when you talk about pipelines, it's all about Azure builds and release pipelines. So we have some agent pools, etc. We will talk about it when we come to that pipeline phase. So this is about settings bed, DevOps, Azure DevOps project settings. We will be using all these options in our coming classes as we move forward. Okay. So for the time being, let's see what's the type of this template. Okay. Let's go and click on project settings, and then right. So this is a so you see that this is a project name, and you can give any description. Let it be like this. And the process it is a basic process. So as I told you, Azure DevOps project supports multiple project management processes. This process is nothing but project management methodology. So it supports waterfall, it supports Scrum, it supports some basic. Basic means it doesn't have anything except you go and create some project, requirements, etc. So I don't want to use this basic process because in my classes I'll be covering Scrum because this is the one all the organizations are using. Okay. So once you create a project, right, you cannot change the process. Okay. So that's the reason I just wanted to demonstrate. I just quickly created it. So let's go ahead and create another project. So you go how you create. You go to the organization, click on organization name, and then you will get an option to create a new project. To say uh, DevOps demo 7 a.m. and then this is a Scrum-based development, and I am just choosing private only. And let's expand this advanced button. So here it will allow me to choose whether I should whether I can continue with a Git-based source control management or a team foundation-based version control. I will tell you the differences. Of course, you might be knowing if you are from the development background, but I will talk about the main differences, how they are different from each other when we come to the Azure repo session. Okay. Now let's select the Git, and then from the work item process. Work item process is nothing but your project management methodology. So I will be using the Scrum. Okay. Then let's create it. So this is your project dashboard. As I told you, we can customize this one as well. Okay, this dashboard. We will be seeing it in the coming classes. So we'll be working on all these boards. Okay. So before we go and work on these Azure boards to start with, let me give you some introduction about Azure boards and what all we will be doing in this Azure boards feature. Okay. Okay. So we just created a Azure DevOps project, and we seen many project settings, right? We seen team configuration, that's nothing but your teams, and then iterations or sprints, which you come across in your Scrum-based project management. And then areas, there is something called areas, and capacity is all about how you maintain the capacity of your team, like how many hours are available for your application development for a sprint, like that. Okay, so we will be doing all these things as part of our planning phase, which is in Azure boards. And there are some other areas what we just see. So available processes, right? We just seen when we are creating Azure DevOps project, that is Agile, Scrum, CMMI. So we will be using Scrum, and of course I did not mention the basic because nobody will be using the basic template. So when you are using this, okay, guys, some of you might already be knowing what is Scrum, and what are the different items that are available in Scrum. But there might be other people who don't know about it. So that's the reason I cover all the items, irrespective of the people know it or not. At least 50% of the people get benefited. Okay. And one more thing, you people might be wondering. So I'm a DevOps engineer, and this is for a DevOps course. Why should I know a Scrum methodology, or why I should know Azure boards or planning phase? Okay, as I told you, DevOps is not just about CI and CD, continuous integration and continuous deployment. So the end-to-end DevOps, as I shown in the demo classes, starts from your requirements management, go to source control management, CI, CD, test management, and then finally operation. So if you don't cover any of these things in future, you will be having trouble. So you need to cover all the HDLC pages. The first HDLC page is planning. That's the reason we are covering Azure. So, of course, you might not be creating work items in your Azure boards as a DevOps engineer, but you are the person who provide access to your individual team members for any given application. So you need to know it, how you maintain your access permissions, how these work items are related together. Of course, at some point of time, you will also be given some item to be worked on, right? So that will help you there as well. So let's what you should know when you are working on agile planning or portfolio management. So when you are using a Scrum template, the requirements will be managed like this. They will be categorized like a epic, feature, user story or product backlog item. PBI is a product backlog item, and then tasks, bugs, issues or impediments, etc. So this is a parent-child relationship. Epic is the root, and the child is feature, and its child is a product backlog item. And finally, it comes to the task. Task is the place where developers or testers or any other person can go ahead and pick it up and implement the code for that task. Okay. On top of that, you have user story and then feature and epic. So we will see that relationship, and bugs, they will come in, they will come into picture once the testers started testing the application. Okay, so we will be creating all these sample stuff in our sessions, and then we can move on to the repos. Okay, so let's see the relationship. As I told you, this is all about parent-child relationship, right? Whether it is a epic or feature or product backlog item or task or bug, right? Everything is called as a work item in your Azure DevOps or Azure boards. Okay, this is our terminology. Okay, this is how it looks when you are creating work items in Scrum-based project template, and epic is a top, and then feature, and then you have the backlog which contains product backlog item. Under that you have the task, and bugs, you can attach the bugs when tester create a bug, right? He can attach the bug to a task, or he can attach the bug to the product backlog item as well. We will see those configurations. And then impediments, some issue tracking, we will talk about it. So so when you are using Scrum methodology, right, you need to know few terms. That is, one is a portfolio backlog or the backlog. The other one is a product backlog. Okay, so I will talk about these differences between a portfolio backlog and product backlog when I explain the Scrum methodology in our coming class. Okay, so that is a little theory about your Azure DevOps project and then Scrum template. So let's do some work item creations and then see how they relate to each other and how it look like and how the people work on it using Azure. So let me switch back to Azure DevOps project. Okay. So you have this boards, right? So Azure, so here you call it as a boards, repos, etc. Basically, another term is Azure boards. Let's click on boards here. So under boards, you have work items, boards, backlogs, sprints, and queries. So we will be covering all these things. So as I told you, be it a epic or feature, product backlog item or task, everything is called as a work item. So, and you can create work items from n number of places. So we will start with this place work item, and here you have this new work item. Let's go ahead and create a new work item. So we need to start with always the parent, right? So the epic. Let's understand what is this parent-child relationship and what is an epic. Okay, so epic is nothing but a parent. So let me give some context. Okay, let us say you might be developing some application. Let us say any e-commerce application, or it can be any hospital management or any travel portal like Clear Trip or Make My Trip, etc. So so the business owner comes said, hey, I want to develop a portal for travel management, which will allow me, flight booking or hotel booking, etc. So he will only give one statement. So, and then our consulting companies like a TCS or something, they will send some business analyst where they can take it forward. The top level requirement is called epic. Okay, so let's create an epic. So it's a travel management application. So for our demonstration purpose and easy to identify. For that purpose, I just give a hyphen epic, but you should not be giving this in your real time. People will not give it. Okay. So when you create a epic, obviously it will be in the new state. So there will be a number of states. So it will be in the new states, and the reason is new epic. And we will be talking about these areas and iterations. Okay, iteration is nothing but your sprints, sprint 1, sprint 2, sprint 3, etc. So we will not do it this one right now. So first we will create some work items and we will apply planning methodology. Okay, so I'm not giving except start date and date. I will not be doing any other stuff. Let's say the start date is 3rd January, and then end date is sorry 3rd Feb, that is, and then end date is 14th Feb. And priority, this is a priority mean how and then effort, I would say some 160 hours. And then business value, this will be decided by your management. I would say business value 1, probably very high. And criticality, again, this is a kind of some some definition defined by your management. uh, and then the value area. So when you create epics, right, it can be related to the business requirements, it can be related to the architectural requirement if it is a technical thing. So I'll keep it a business as is, and you can give the description, and you have to give the acceptance criteria. Of course, I will not be doing anything because this is related to the business analysis people. So the acceptance criteria will be like this: uh, application contain, I would say, payment gateway integration, and second, and then availability, all flight carriers, etc. So uh, some kind of acceptance criteria. So after that, let's go ahead and save it. So we create an epic. Okay. Using epic, developers can't proceed. That's the reason it has to be categorized into multiple sub items. You call them as features. So you can go ahead and create a features. Going back to your work items, go ahead and create a new work item and click on feature. Okay, this is one way, but okay, let's do like this. Okay, payment gateway, and then I would say I'll just suffix with feature. Okay, and then you can start. Let all this area and iteration will be like this. Let's only give a start date. I would say some 4th, and then end date will be something like instead of 14th, I will put some 12th. Okay, and leave all these values as it is, or not important for our demonstration purpose. Okay, and then I will say business. Let it be like this. Save it. Okay. Now, as I told you, all these work items are having parent-child relationship. An epic will contain number of features. A feature will contain number of tasks. So we need to associate them with each other. Okay. So if you go back to work items, right? So now you have, so you can identify epic like this. You have a cron symbol and then feature with this cup symbol. Okay. So we can associate this epic to feature or a feature to epic in multiple ways. The best way is you can open, let us say, your epic, your parent. So these are all the different options you are having available. And then there is an option called related work, or at the bottom of your epic configuration, you can add link and then say existing item. So the link type is a child item. And now let's go ahead and select the feature. So when you click on it, it automatically populates all the available work items. Since I only have one feature, there is no other work item, it is populated it. So I'll select which. That's it. Let's go and click on OK. So this is how you can associate your parent and child when initially you do not integrate with each other. Okay, so this is very important in your planning. Sorry, save the changes. So this is very important when you are working in any planning session, because you need to associate each and every item. Otherwise, you will not have any traceability. Okay, we will talk about traceability in the coming classes as well. So I'll be using all these different terminology, which will help you in the upcoming classes. So
Poorna, can you bring other work items also?
Yes. Yeah, somebody
So
is
this is
speaking.
mandatory. Yeah, I'm saying, can you please show other work items also? And this is mandatory before starting any of the project. We need to make these work items
You
because
are
I
right.
think it is something related to management thing and tracking thing, right?
Yeah. Yes. So as I told you, so I am not just covering a CI/CD. DevOps means this is end-to-end DevOps means it starts from the requirements management. Okay. So you need to.
Just a small question. If I don't do this step, so will I be able to perform my other steps, or
Yeah,
they
you will be
they are
able to do
mandatory?
other steps. I will tell you some of the issues. Okay.
Okay.
So let's talk about some of the issues. Let us say you do not have any
Can you please show
requirements. Yeah.
other work items also?
Yeah. So you want me to talk about the issues, or you want me to continue with the other work items?
Actually, both you can as per choice
Yeah.
when you.
Yeah. I cover both. So if you have a doubt, I will cover you. I will clear your doubt. Otherwise, I will continue with the work items and then clear your doubt. I am flexible.
Okay.
Yeah. So then let's go. Let's talk about some of the issues. So let us say you decided to use Azure Boards for your requirements management because in most of the organizations, people might be using Jira. So, or if it is a Microsoft shop, they might be using TFS for requirements management. So, if you decided to go with Azure Boards and you did not configure these work items and then parent-child relationship, epic feature, etc. The first issue that you will come across is when you start doing the coding, right? You do not know to which work item you need to associate your code because when so the these are the best practices when you are working on a DevOps oriented project development, right? You need to have a traceability. That means if I write some 10 lines of code in my .NET project or Java project, I should anybody should be knowing. So for what feature or task these 10 lines of code is being written. Okay, so this you call it as a traceability. Okay, and let us say you know for which task these 10 lines of code is being written, but if there is no traceability, you do not know for which feature your task is related to, or your product for which product backlog item your code is belonging to. So these are the traceability issues that typically comes in, and your project manager struggles a lot, and even you as well. Let us say you done some coding some 2 months ago, and then you started working on many other features. What happens if somebody come and ask you, hey, you written these 10 lines of code, tell me for which feature you developed it? You will not be able to tell it. Again, you have to trace it back to your emails and all that stuff, which is a time consuming activity. That is the reason we are having all these tools, and you need to better make use of these configurations and features so that you will not spend time in tracing your whereabouts. Okay?
And why do you use Epic here?
So as I told you, when you are using a Scrum, right? So there is a hierarchy. So every requirement, right? Requirement is a general term, right? Will be categorized into multiple subcategories, right? As I told you, let us say if I'm creating an application for travel management, let us take Make My Trip. Okay, so travel management is the business problem here. Okay, you call it as an epic. This is a context based. Okay, and then the travel management application will be having n number of features. Let us say one is payment gateway, another is integration with your flight carriers, the other one is search functionality, and that there could be again integration with direct some PayPal or any other things. There will be n number of integrations, right? So those are all the features. So when we say payment gateway integration, right, that is a feature. Under that, what happens? It's not just one requirement, right? When it is a payment gateway, so there might be a requirements like to implement that payment gateway, you need to have an integration with your banks, let us say ICICI or anything, or you might be having integration with some external finance providers. That is one requirement under your feature, payment gateway feature. Again, you need to integrate that payment gateway with your Make My Trip account as well. So there might, so like this, you might be developing a number of APIs or some functionalities to implement that feature. Under that, so let us integrating with ICICI Bank payment gateway. It cannot be a one API, right? There will be a number of APIs that you develop. So one is connecting to ICICI Bank payment gateway. The other one is storing some user information or payment information in your database, and then some other area. So these are all the different areas. You call them as user stories. So this is how your planning phase works. Basically, your business analyst will do all this stuff, and they will create all the product backlog items. Okay, finally it comes to the developers, where your scrum master, sorry, product owner, your functional manager, and all your project teams sit together and assign it to the respective people. So that's how the planning phase works. Okay. So
Okay. And
in
what are the
nutshell,
other work items?
yeah, I'm going to create now. Okay. You already seen in the so so you have the epic and then feature and then you have the product backlog item and finally cost.
And
Okay.
they have to be in this same process flow, right?
Yeah. So yeah, it has to be in
Chronology.
the same, yeah, same process because
Okay.
we are using
So
Scrum process. Yeah.
first Epic will always be the parent, then it will come with the feature, then the third one, then the fourth one. Same
You are right.
chronology. Is what.
You are right. It should be like this because this is not something we define, right? Scrum is defined by Scrum organizations, right? There are, and then we have to follow that one. And this is even Microsoft follows the same thing, right? They just coded it here. That's it.
And this
So
is
now,
only for Scrum or for others also.
so this when I created this Azure DevOps project, DevOps demo 7 a.m., I selected Scrum template. Okay,
Yes,
and
yes.
there will be other templates like a CMMI, etc., which are older versions. So I will be talking about them
Okay.
as well in the coming classes. So
Okay.
I will be talking about those differences. Let's continue one by one, otherwise you will get
So
confused.
they'll be the same work items or different work items.
uh, Prashant, I just would like to go in sequence because I am having all
Okay.
these things.
Okay.
We will lose the continuity, so we'll be explaining
Sure.
all that stuff. Okay, please allow me that.
Yeah.
Okay, so now a feature is being created. Now I have to create a product backlog item as part of my requirements. So you can create directly, go to new work item and then create a product backlog item. And then you can associate product backlog item with feature. The other way is directly open payment gateway feature, which is a feature. And then on the right hand side, you can see, so earlier we added a link, right, to associate this feature with the parent. In the same way, you can click on the add link. Instead of existing item, you say new item. Okay. And what's the new item? So the new item should be a child of your feature. So let it be like this, child. Okay. And then so you will get n number of things again, bugs, epics, task, etc. But I want to create a task and associate with our feature. The task is
I think it's product backlog item.
this is a product backlog item I am just creating. Sorry, task. Okay, I haven't created the product backlog. ICICI integrate ICICI bank payment. It can be anything, but it is only demonstration purpose. Integrate ICICI payment gateway. Let us say PBI. I mean, just for our identification purpose, because we are in the early stages. Let's click on OK. That's it. So you will get this one. I will give some effort as 40 hours, and then business value as these will be defined. I mean, effort will be defined by the team members. Business value will be defined by product owner or business analyst. Let it be like this. This value area can be business. If you want, you can put it on the architecture. Let it be like this. And you can write some acceptance criteria. Let's leave it. We are not doing any real development. And then save and close. Done. So a feature is being created. Let's go back to work items. Now the last step in your requirements creation is creating a task. Okay. So as I told you, you can create by going to new work item, or the easiest way is go to your product backlog item and then click on add link, click on new item. This time I'm going to create a task. See, it is not allowing, so by default, the work item type is product backlog item. It is warning. You cannot associate one product backlog item to other as a child. So let's go ahead and create a task here. The task is create a RESTful API to connect with ICICI Bank. So just for identification purpose, I'll give task. That's it. And this is a child of the product backlog item. So let me go ahead and create one more task here. So this will help me in the further classes for better explanation. So in the same to the same product backlog item, I'm just going to create another work item, which is of type task. That's it. So, so now what happened? So this all happens before your development, right? Some business analyst working with your product owner or the business owner or your project manager created a list of requirements, and it started from Epic and then product feature and then product backlog item and then some tasks. So what's the next step? So this is where all the teams now comes into picture as part of their planning phase. So during the planning phase, so we basically define, we categorize the teams, and we will also assign these tasks to the people based on the availability of the team members. Let us say some people might be on leave, some people might be working 4 hours for this project, like this. There will be a number of scenarios. So your Azure boards supports all those kind of scenarios. Okay, and in the next one or two sessions, we will be covering all those scenarios, and we will close the planning session, and then we go to the repos. Okay, for the time being, let us say that we created these boards. Let's go to boards, and we created all these things. Let's look at some of the views here. So you have the boards here. Let's click on the boards. And if you are working for any project who is following Scrum methodology, you might come across this kind of boards. You call it as a Scrum boards or Kanban boards. Okay, so on the whiteboard in any meeting room or in your in your work location, on a whiteboard they probably attach some sticky notes, and or they might write it actually. So basically what happens, since these are all the manual activities, only for one or two sprints they follow that updating that whiteboard with sticky notes. After that everybody will forget it for the entire project life cycle. So that's where I mean these tools will help us, right? You don't need to maintain all that kind of sticky notes on your whiteboards. So we will be using this kind of Azure boards, or if you are using Jira, you can use Scrum templates in the Jira to manage your Kanban boards, and you can visualize it clearly. How many product backlog items or tasks are in new state, how many are approved, how many are committed, or how many tasks are in progress. All such kind of things you can see, and also you can see how many people are working for this sprint. Okay, what is that? So let us say your sprint is 2 weeks. So that means basically it is 40 plus 40, 80 hours. If you are having two people, then total capacity is 160 hours. Okay. And if somebody is free for 2 days, then it will come down to 144 hours, and your deadlines will change. So if you are doing these planning activities using some Excel sheets or using some other way, then it will all be cluttered. Nobody can have any traceability whether we are going as per the schedule or etc. So this tool will help us to do all such kind of activities. So I'll be doing such kind of activities tomorrow. So for guys, for today, that's all from my side. I just want to increase the velocity of this explanation slowly. From tomorrow, I will be extending a few more minutes as well on this.